Yo, what's going on everyone? In today's video, I will be sharing my Deadlock controller settings. But before I start, I want to say that you should take my controller settings and use it as a baseline for you. Because as you'll see very soon, I like to aim and shoot with my bumpers. That is LB and RB on Xbox controllers and L1 and R1 on PlayStation controllers. So you might have to swap around some of the controls, and I will show you guys how to do that later. And that's actually a lie. I will leave both versions of the Xbox and PlayStation controller settings down below. So that will be bumpers to shoot or triggers to shoot. You guys can go ahead and use whichever one you want. I'll link them both down in the description below. But that does not change the fact that you might have to change some of the controls just to fit your preferences. And lastly, I do recommend having a controller with back paddles or buttons because nowadays these games have a lot of different actions and there are not enough buttons on a controller to have them all and play optimally. And as a controller gamer, your aim should be to keep your thumbs on the analog sticks as much as possible. So I will link to what I think are some of the best controllers out there for PlayStation and Xbox down in the description below, and you guys can go ahead and pick one of those up if you don't already have one. So with all that out the way, let's begin. So in order to copy one of my layouts, just copy and paste the link into your browser and it should open up Steam. Then you should be able to apply the layout to your controller. All right, so now I'm going to go over all of the different buttons and what they do for you guys. So starting off with the face buttons, we have A. A is simple, just to go ahead and jump. B, I have B. It doesn't really do anything. It is actually on a button cord to call in your ability number 4, aka your ultimate ability. Then we have our Y button. Y is simple. It calls out your ability number 3. That is not on a button cord. And don't worry guys, I will tell you what the button cord button is in a little bit. And that's going to be the way you're going to call in the majority of your abilities along with a couple of other options. And then I have the X button, right? The X button for me is to reload. Now, some of you guys are probably like, oh, Big Cat, why don't you just put it on double tap to reload? And what I figured out is that when you do that, it causes a delay. That's because your controller is trying to figure out, are you going to call in your ability or is it going to call in reload? And I do not like having a delay when I'm trying to call in my ability or when I'm trying to reload. I'm just trying to go ahead and reload or call in my ability whenever the frick I want to. Okay, so moving on to aiming and shooting. Aiming and shooting for me, it is going to be my bumpers. So LB and then right button to shoot, and it's very simple, just like any other shooter game that you want. Like I said, I will link down the reverse version of this in the description below if you guys want to have it set up to where it's going to be your triggers to aim and shoot. But mind you, when you have your triggers to aim and shoot, it's going to change the button cord button to L1 or LB. Okay, so now moving on to my triggers. My right trigger actually does two things. It's my first ability, as you guys can see down below, and it also allows me to dash. So your LB is going to be your roll / dash. And then it's also going to be your first ability when you go ahead and use it in combination with the button cord button. Next up is the button cord button, and that is going to be L2. So in order to call in your abilities, except for the Y ability, you can just call that in whenever you want just by clicking Y. You are going to have to press L2 plus whatever the ability is. So for me, I'm going to have to press L2 plus R2 and throw her little grapple, her little root. Then, you know, L2X, and then L2B is the ultimate. Bam. Right? That's very simple. That's how you call in your abilities with my controls. And this is a whole lot better than having it set as just the face buttons, because then you will have stuff like the reload will be double tap to reload. And that's not, like I said before, that causes a delay. And is not very intuitive. A lot of us play shooters on a controller and we're just used to pressing square or X and we just reload. And that's what I want it to be. Very intuitive, not all this random ass controls. I want it to be very simple for players that are coming from shooter games such as myself, like playing Call of Duty. So since we're talking about the button cord button, in order to parry, you have to press the button cord button. So the left trigger, and then you're going to click your left analog stick, and that's going to allow you to use the parry. Yeah, that's pretty much how you parry. And then along with the last button cord combination, it is going to be the ping system. So hold L2 and then up on the D-pad, and then you can ping stuff. Now, I rarely ping people in this game. I just really don't see the point most of the time, so I hardly ever use that. But the option to ping is there if you wanted to, and I did want to have all of the different options available for everybody if they wanted to do something. Like I said, you can always go ahead and switch up some of the stuff that you guys don't like for your own personal preferences on what feels best for you. So yeah. And actually, I really do like having the parry button on the button cord, because I do like to slide by clicking my left analog stick. So left analog stick is going to be your crouch button / your dash button when you're moving fast enough. So you're just going ahead and hold it, and then you can dash. But currently I'm not moving fast enough. So downstairs, you can go ahead and slide down the steps. And if you're moving fast enough, let's go ahead and put on some speed real quick. If you're moving fast enough, you can just hold it and you can start dashing. So just click it to crouch, and then when you're moving fast enough, you can go ahead and dash. Okay, so moving on to upgrading abilities. In order to upgrade abilities and look at the scoreboard, I put this all on one option, and that is going to be holding the right D-pad. That is going to be your upgrade, and you're looking at the scoreboard button. I did initially have this as the select button to look at the scoreboard, but I didn't like how far away I had to take my left analog stick, or my left thumb off the left analog stick, in order to call in, or order to level up my abilities. And because the way you level up your abilities, you have to actually hold the right D-pad, and then you have to click the button cord combination. So to level up, and I'm actually fully leveled up, let's redo that, reset hero. In order to level up, I have to hold right D-pad and click the button cord button, and then plus whatever the ability is. So right now I'm pressing right D-pad, L2, and right trigger to like level up my route. So very, very easy. Just hold all those buttons and, you know, you be straight. Now, opening up the store. To open up the store, you're actually going to click the start button. That is typically the start button in most video games. That is going to be how we're going to open up the store. And then you guys can go ahead and, you know, buy your items, do whatever you got to do. One thing I do want to mention is that when you're putting your items, your active abilities in the D-pad slots, right? It'll let you choose it. You can go ahead and pick. It doesn't really matter. But when you come down here, all you got to do is you can drag it around if you want to put them in different spots. And to do that, all I'm doing is I'm clicking my A button, which is my jump button, and it allows me to go ahead and move it around. And lastly, of all of the controls, now we have the melee button. The melee button is going to be the right analog stick. So holding down the right analog stick, we can do the heavy melee. And then obviously clicking it, we can just do the light melee. And that's how you punch. Very, very simple. Like, I wanted my controls to be as intuitive as possible. And that is typically the melee button that you guys get in most shooter games and most fighting games or whatever. And I think that is all of the controls. Now, there are a couple of nuances that you guys should know about, and that is the canceling. When you guys go ahead and use my settings, you will have to come to the settings. So I'm going to go to escape. I'm going to go to my settings, right? And I'm going to go to my regular keybinds. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to come to my regular keybinds. And what you will have to do is you're gonna have to change your cancel ability and your alternate cast ability to U and to K. So you can cast buttons on yourself, like you can cast like the healing right onto yourself. That's what I have them on, and I set these up to emulate them on my controller. All right, so let me just show you guys what that looks like in action, right? So if I get the healing right, and let's just put it on, let's get rid of these other two items real quick. So if I get the healing right, and then if I go ahead and grab like rescue beam, you guys are going to see. So if I click the healing right, if I press right trigger, I can cast it onto myself, right? And then same thing with the rescue beam. Like technically I could cast a rescue beam onto myself if I press right trigger. But if I shoot at him, so like, you know, just like I'm trying to shoot at him, I can go ahead and drag him, and then I can recast the shoot button again, and I can pull him. So bam, and I can go ahead and pull the target. And then same thing with the healing right. If I don't want to call it on myself, I'm just going to shoot at my target, aka my teammate, and then it'll go ahead and heal them. And then I have the cancel ability, and canceling is how you cancel like channeling abilities. And the best character I can show you it on is somebody that has a channel ability. So I'm going to switch my hero to somebody like Dynamo. And if I drop my ult on Dynamo, I can easily cancel out of it by clicking the left analog stick. So my cancel button is also going to be my left analog stick button click. And it's actually really nice this way because it doesn't mess up. Like canceling is only sometimes it'll happen. Like you're never going to be like sliding and trying to cancel an ability because most of the time it stops you from moving anyway when you're trying to cast an ability. So it's actually very intuitive and it feels really good. Trust me, just use it that way. And then the other thing I want to mention too is when you're ziplining, the way you zipline to call in your boost, it says F to boost. The way you boost is by calling in the parry button. So, and if you guys remember, the parry button was the left trigger plus the left analog stick click, and then we can go ahead and boost. So bam, that's how we're going to go ahead and call in our boost, is by using the parry button. And then I would also like to say, when we're going off of the zip line, if you want to just hurry up and hop off, you can either jump off by pressing the jump button, or you can cancel it by also clicking the left analog stick and just, you know, automatically hopping off the zip line immediately. I do want to mention real quick, when it comes to canceling abilities, some characters such as Vendica, and I think it's best if I show you guys, right? If I call in her flight mode and I click the cancel ability, it actually doesn't cancel at all. So I'm clicking the cancel ability and it's just like, it just dashed me down and I can just like fly right up. In order to cancel it, you just have to call in the ability. You just have to recast the ability in order to cancel. So bam, like just recast the ability. And this is on a few characters, so if it doesn't let you just cancel by clicking the left analog stick, you just have to recast the ability. This works with some ultimates as well. Like as you can see, like I'm crouching with her ultimate, I have to recall in the ultimate in order to cancel it. And that's how I cancel her sniping ult. And she probably has the most annoying sniping ult because it doesn't just take you out after you run out of bullets. Very annoying, but it is what it is. And yeah, and then same thing with like, you know, items that you have to throw. Like I just have to recall in whatever I use to cast the ability. And typically to throw stuff, you're just going to press the shooting button. So like the right trigger. But yeah, in order to cancel it, you're either going to have to just recast the ability or you can click the cancel button. It works on some abilities, sometimes it doesn't. Typically, if it's like a channel ability, you're just going to click the left analog stick and you can just fucking cancel it. But that's not always the case because, you know, like in the case of like Gray Talon, I can actually use his little flight mode and click it and it'll cancel it. I don't have to recast it. Like I can recast it, but I don't have to. But I typically just, you know, use the left analog stick, click it, and then cancel my ability. All right, and so the last two things I do want to discuss before I go into the controller settings, the communication wheel, you have to hold down on the D-pad and then, yeah, you can go ahead and pick communication. I don't really use it, mainly because I don't even know what the options are because I don't use it. And then lastly, for dropping the urn, if you guys ever pick up the urn, if you guys go do the urn soul run or whatever that thing is called, in order to drop it, you have to press the parry button. So to drop the urn, you have to press the parry button. Just like when you're hopping up on a zip line to speed boost, you have to press the parry button as well to drop the urn if you do pick it up. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and look into the controller settings and see how you guys can change your sensitivity. You have your right joystick behavior. We're going to go right up here, click the cog menu, and then right here, you want to change your sensitivity however you want. But this is where it's really gonna matter, is right here at the curve. You want to keep all of this on 100, but your custom curve, I have this on 80, and trust me, I would keep this right here somewhere between, I would say 50 and like 150. Anything beyond that is pretty bad. I've noticed that 80 is like the perfect sweet spot. So you guys can go ahead and mess with the custom response curve. That's going to be how you guys are going to get that precise aim. Like I said, right now, they don't have the best controller settings when it comes to aiming. Also, make sure you guys go ahead and mess with your dead zones. If you change this low end right here, This is going to be how you're going to change how much input you're going to have to be in order for your character to respond. So if I put this all the way up at like 50, this huge black dot that's in the middle of the blue one, that means I have to move my joystick all the way out here just for my character to start moving. And you definitely don't want that. You want to have it just enough to where you don't have any stick drift. And for me, that's like at about a good like 4 to 5, and I don't have any stick drift. And that means you can make the micro adjustments with your aim, so you're not, your aim's not all over the place. And obviously you want the high end to be maxed out. The outer ring I don't really mess with, and haptics, ain't nobody using haptic vibration on jack shit. If you are, you're weird, bro. And yeah, guys, that's pretty much how you're going to mess with all of your settings. But yeah, that's gonna take us to the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed it, go ahead and hit this video with a like. I'm sorry, I kind of had to wing all of the different button choices. There's no way in hell I was going to script all of that out, just because there's so many different options and buttons in this game. Like I said, it took me a really long time to get this set up to how I wanted to perfectly, just for it to even be playable on a controller. Because before all of the default settings that they have for this game, it doesn't even come with all of the extra options, like to be able to cancel, to be able to self-cast, like using healing right. You couldn't even self-cast on yourself. Like, so forgive me on that. But yeah, it's your boy Big Cat 188. I'll catch you guys in the next one, and I'm out. Peace.